Okay, so the things that this case brings up are very substantial in a variety of manners. First of all, we are 21 years to the day from when this case was first filed. And 21 years legally, specifically, has to do with a concept of honoring of perpetuities. A. B. This was from 1980. In 1980, at this point, I would not yet have been 3 years old. So, I'm sorry, so we're talking about 41 years, not, we're talking about 20 years plus another 21 years. Okay? So in 1980, I was 3 years old. And so, what I would have to do with the original case is a good question. Now, this is the kind of thing where, for instance, my mother was identified with the original case or expectations associated with the original case. And then somehow, because I am the daughter, including the eldest daughter, and or my grandfather had something to do with this case and expectations of this case, and by virtue of being the oldest grandchild, I am somehow connected to this case. And then understand A, I was born in the United States of America in the state of Virginia. As I have already said, I have filed a claim regarding accusations of slander of title that would have been for both the state of Virginia and the state of Texas, which, according to the terms of this case, would actually have been available for contemplation. As it says here, that according to subdivision 23, or according to section 1995 of this particular Texas statute, Article 1995 does discuss the considerations of what it means to have claims in two different counties, and insofar as there could potentially be claims in two different counties, then allowing for either or both counties to be appropriate as a jurisdiction for consideration of that claim. And in my motion, which I did not get to file because it was stolen, I literally printed it out, and before I could actually send the official version, it was stolen from me. And that just came up today when I went to buy the tampons, right? So, in that particular motion, the two specific matters at hand had to do with concepts of mineral rights claims and under which jurisdiction they should be acknowledged. Are we talking about Virginia or are we talking about Texas? And insofar as one has to provide their birth certificate, which in my case came from Virginia, in order to get a Texas identification card, my contention is that there are certain matters related to production that would be under the law of the land in Texas. But when it comes to concepts of or understandings of the initial and original claims to the actual mineral rights, then that would be under the laws of Virginia. Now, if somebody else were to say to me that they had something comparable, or that I was in a situation where I was to address things for somebody else comparable, I can't say that the way I would have pursued my own personal case would be comparable to theirs. Why? Well, for one thing, I was born on a military installation. So a military installation also implies federal jurisdiction, regardless of where it is in the world. A. And that comes into a very profound consideration when establishing citizenship for, among other things, purposes of running for public office, for instance. Okay? So there's that. So somebody, for instance, that was not from a military family and not born aboard a military installation, but may have been born, for instance, in a different state, would have a different consideration, right? And so I was born in Norfolk Naval Hospital, so far as I know. And insofar as I was born in Norfolk Naval Hospital, that has a specific implication, and that it was in the state of Virginia brings up the fact that we're talking about a federal installation, but within the state of Virginia when it comes to considerations of mineral rights claims. So for that reason, I have a different kind of claim than somebody that would not have been born on an American military installation in a state within the United States. Just so you know. And if I were to go to have to argue that or have to talk about that, that there is something very specific about that, especially if someone is trying to invoke, for instance, state laws around capture based upon their understanding that they had a right to determinations concerning the origin of the mineral rights claims. So being on site in a specific place, insofar as I understand, the argument I'm making is that being on site in a specific place where there is a physical geographic determination of ownership of property, including surface property, A, is distinct from determination of mineral rights claims owners to the mineral rights below the surface of the actual physical geographic determination, B. But C, if we're talking about intangible contributions to the production, which then gets into designations of what is specified within the tender, then in regards to me and my personal understanding of my relationship to such things, then it would be under an understanding that rights to production would have to be negotiated within a context of understanding that the mineral rights claims are from Virginia, with the understanding that in Virginia I was aboard a federal installation when I was born.